What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to DSM Media's Philadelphia Phillies pregame show. As always, I am one of the co-hosts here, Dylan Davis. You can find me on Twitter at DylanJD98. And tonight, it's a Tuesday night invasion. The Trending in the AM crew is trying to hijack this Phillies pregame show. I'm with my guy, Jason Voorhees. Check him out on Twitter at Mustaine3651. And the host of Trending in the AM and Fairway to Heaven, Phil Stifle. Check him out on Twitter at Beard and Knowledge. Is that a glass of wine? First of all, that's heavy pour.
How big it is? Look like that. I'm a big-headed man, and look how close that head.
That is a heavy pour. Or can you a lot of people would like you as their bartender.
Phil wants to get drunk tonight. He figured.
No.
He might have to watch this Phillies offense produce.
I'm only watching until 10 o'clock. The Lions come on at 10 o'clock, so I'm a Sons of Anarchy guy, and the spinoff show is not as good as the Sons of Anarchy, but their spinoff show, we've been waiting for season 3 for like 2 years now. So it debuts tonight at 10. So the Phillies get my attention for an hour and 20 minutes tonight.
Not bad. Hopefully they can actually build a lead in that hour and 20 minutes tonight. And the third member of Trending in the AM, Mark, with a C, will hopefully be joining us shortly, but we will see as the show goes on. But fellas, before we get into tonight's game 2 versus the Colorado Rockies, we have to talk about last night's catastrophe and what's been going on with this fighting Phillies team, as they are at risk of dropping their third straight series and losing 3 of the first 4 series of the season. Jason, you and I have been on the show enough over the first 2 weeks where we've kind of been that relax, like this Philadelphia outrage and Negadelphia 6 games in was already coming out to play. And now I find myself, it's not a worry. It's not freaking out a couple more games in, but I'm agitated because what I'm seeing is ugly at-bats, inconsistent play, offense that just can't get it going, starting pitching that can't get through the 5th inning, and a manager who has a fan's mentality already in Joe Girardi, who made drastic lineup changes through the first 10 games. So I'll start with you because you were on the same boat as me, and I just want to see where your head's at now on this Phillies team as they struggle.
Well, it's funny because the way you just described it, it's exactly where I'm at. Like, I'm still not panicking, but I am pissed off. And I've told you, I'm not a Joe Girardi could go in my opinion. Like, I'm not a Joe Girardi fan as it is, and he's already got my ire like up to here. Because the bottom line is, you use the word. It's one word. It's inconsistent. And that's a word that we've used with this Phillies team over and over and over again the past 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons. It's always inconsistency that drives this team. And the reason for that is they can't ever settle on a set lineup. And, I get the fact that we talked about how this lineup is versatile and that, it does give you a lot of creativity as far as moving guys around in position-wise. But you had spoken about this day one on the first introductory show that having a set lineup is important to get guys in rhythm, lockstep, and key. And right now, I think this whole team is just in disarray because nobody knows where they're at, what their role is, where they're supposed to, when they should hit, when they should, take some pitches. They're all over the place. And that starts at the top, and that's Joe Girardi. So to me, right now, the biggest issue on this team, besides the lack of hitting, is Joe Girardi because he's the one pulling the strings.
Great comment by Casey. Girardi's like that Band-Aid that never stays on. You question what's the point of it? Does it even work? Phil, what's your thoughts on this lineup so far and the way that Joe Girardi's managed it or mismanaged it?
Sleepy Joe?
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm calling him now, Sleepy Joe. Because he doesn't look like he's even there or doing anything. Now, you bring up last night, Dylan, and so the Sixers game ended, and as soon as it ended, I flipped right over to the Phillies game, okay? The first thing, Chad Cool, Mr. Cool, he's out there pitching for the Rockies, and T-Mac, I don't know if it was T-Mac or or whoever was with T-Mac brought it up like literally as soon as we flipped over. And the first thing he said was that was the third inning that Chad Kuhl pitched less than 10 pitches in an inning. He had innings in the first 5 innings. He had innings of 9, 9, and 5 pitches. That's 23 pitches over 3 innings. That's a bad approach at the plate. I don't care, who's your bat. You cannot get through a game and put pressure on a pitcher if he's throwing 5 pitches in an inning and then following up with 9 the next inning. You're just setting yourself up for a complete and total failure. And these guys are being put, like Jason said, in a different spot in the lineup every single night. And I said it this morning to Jason on the morning show. I know we only had 5 hits last night, one of them by a pinch hitter. But I didn't care how bad the lineup looked last night. I was going to trot the same lineup out again tonight. So at least the guys had some consistency for 2 nights in a row. And that's a problem. When you're in the 2-hole, you have to have a certain mentality. When you're in the 3-hole, a certain mentality. If you don't know where you're going to be every single night, that's a problem. But we knew as soon as Didi got a pinch hit double that he'd be right back in the lineup tonight.
Oh,
because,
of course.
That's Sleepy Joe's main man right there.
That's his boy. So first and foremost on the plate appearances or the approach at the plate, it's just, again, Jason, it's the word, it's inconsistent. And I know body language and facial expressions can be hard to read at the plate at the MLB level because guys get fooled all the time. So sometimes a out of control swing or a lazy swing, sometimes you're just getting fooled. You're looking fastball, you get a slider away, whatever the case may be. But the approach at the plate, I'm not understanding. Phil, you mentioned it's either 23 pitches through 3 or 4 innings, right? They're just undisciplined, hacking away, 1 or 2 pitches in. Another thing that I'm seeing from great hitters in Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos has been one of the better hitters, but still hasn't shined yet. Rhys Hoskins, JT Realmuto, Kyle Schwarber is they'll either take a heater right down the pipe for strike 1 and then come around the very next pitch and swing at a slider at their shins, or they'll swing at a slider at their shins on the first pitch, 0-1, and then take a changeup right down the pipe, 0-2. The approach, it's not making sense. I understand. I don't play at the MLB level. I wouldn't touch anything at the MLB level, but I don't understand like what looks appealing to one pitch, but then not 95 right over the plate and the bat doesn't leave your shoulders when you're Bryce Harper or Rhys Hoskins so far. The Phillies bats are not awake. They scored 1 run last night on 5 hits. They had 3.9 runs per game this season, which is 20th in the major leagues. They had 3 runs or less in 6 of their 7 losses, and they are averaging 2 runs a game in their 4 losses on the current 7-game road trip. I don't know if the offense knows that the season started, guys.
I asked Jason this morning. I didn't have the time to do the research today. So I'll ask you, didn't we hire and bring in some world-renowned hitting coach to take over as the hitting coach? Yeah. Isn't he supposed to be this great hitting coach?
He is, and I'm not worried.
The hitting coach always gets the blame.
Yeah.
So if that's the wrong mentality to take, that the hitting coach isn't really to blame, then it comes down to Sleepy Joe Girardi. That he is, I talk about it with basketball as well, and in every sport. Your players on a sports team take on the personality and life of their coach. Joe Girardi looks lifeless. Just like I said, Doc shouldn't have come back this year because he didn't look like he had the energy anymore. I said after the last baseball season, Joe Girardi needed to go. You see him in the dugout, it doesn't look like he wants to be there. And that gravitates towards the players. Players can feel that and build off of that in a negative way. And that's not good.
Hey, man, I just said that on the Faithful Fanatic show. The Raptors are taking on the personality of Nick Nurse. Whine. But it's true. Like, I hate to say 11 games in, 12 games in, whatever we are now, that the body language looks poor. They don't care right now. But at times when I see Bryce Harper in a 3-run game come in as the leader of this team and this clubhouse, top of the 9th inning, he's the first batter last night. First pitch at his shins, swinging away, lousy, lazy dribbler to the first baseman, out number 1 on 1 pitch. Well, that kills any sort of hope or momentum that you could put together a comeback last night, and he's the leader. And before we move on to tonight's game, because I don't want to spend too much time talking about the previous games tonight, just on Joe Girardi, the lineup changes. man, that you can have a fan's mentality, 6 games in, 10 games in, 11 games in. Fans can sit here and say, oh, Kyle Schwarber isn't working out the leadoff hitter. We need to move him. Rhys Hoskins isn't working out in the 5-hole. We need to move him up, move him down, whatever. That's a fan's mentality, being so, needing drastic change so early in the season. The manager can't be doing that. In the first 7 games, he flipped 1 through 5 all the way around. Dude, he didn't just move Schwarber and JT. First of all, JT, I know that the Phillies don't have a traditional leadoff hitter. JT Realmuto definitely should not be the leadoff hitter for my money, right? But you didn't just do that. You moved Bryce from 3 to 2. You moved Nick from 4 to 3. You moved Rhys. He's been at 2, 4, 5 this year. Gene's been at 6, 7, 8 this year. There's no consistency, and we're 11 games into the year. It's crazy.
So to kind of fling it into tonight's game, you got JT or Gene Segura leading off and Rhys Hoskins. We're flipping it again. JT Realmuto isn't a leadoff hitter, but at least give him 5 or 6 games to find out maybe he can handle it. But again, you flip it again. Let me give you some numbers here, and I found this online. I did not do this research. I don't have the time to do research. Gene Segura last year in the leadoff hole hit 245 with a 312 on-base percentage. Rhys Hoskins in the 2-hole last year, a 209 batting average with a 258 on-base percentage. Tell me that that's going to solve our problems.
Here's the problem. Joe Girardi, as much as we say that he's not analytically driven like his predecessor, Gabe Kapler, that's actually a false statement. Joe Girardi is actually very big on analytics. And this, a lot to me, shows analytics moves. Now, I granted you just showed stats to the contrary. He's taking analytics at face value like this season. Gene Segura is your best hitter. So he's looking at it like, okay, Gene Segura is going to get on base because he's hitting 290. That's how Joe Girardi is managing this team. And it's absolutely mind-boggling. Kyle Schwarber, okay, listen, I said it today on the morning show. The Phillies' problem right now is that their lineup is built on a bunch of guys that are truly streaky hitters in that they can go totally cold or they can get totally hot and go on a 3-week hot streak. There's one problem with that. You're going to have these lulls like they're having right now. And unfortunately, it's happening in the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
But this is where I'm at. Kyle Schwarber, yes, he is struggling. But the only way you realistically get him out of that is keep him in the where he's at the leadoff hitter. That's where he had his most success last year. He had his best season as a leadoff hitter last year. Kyle Schwarber will come around. But you're not doing any service by moving him around 11 games in, like you said. And it's not just him, it's everybody in the top 5.
Yeah, you didn't need to take such drastic steps this earlier in the year. Fans do that, they're reactionary, whatever. The manager cannot have that mentality. And to wrap this up and get to tonight's lineup card, as Phil said the first two, the issue, Jason, is we're at a low, like the lowest of low, I feel, to start this year because, yes, they are very streaky hitters in Bryce Harper, Rhys Hoskins, Kyle Schwarber, etc. The one thing as fans, I think we knew that, but we didn't fully expect all of them to be cold to start the year. Like, okay, if Schwarber and Rhys are cold, but Nick and Bryce and JT are hitting well, they can win ball games. If Bryce and Nick and JT are cold, but Schwarber, Gene, and Rhys are hot, they can win games. Everybody's freaking cold. Everybody's cold, and you're seeing that right now. And then the pitching, they can't get through 5 innings. It's been really bad. But to get to tonight's lineup, Gene Segura is leading off at second base. Rhys Hoskins is in the 2-hole. Bryce Harper back to the 3-hole, and Nick Castellanos in the 4-hole cleaning up, which I like those two there. JT Realmuto in the 5-hole, followed by Kyle Schwarber back in left field in the 6-hole. Alec Boehm gets another start, which finally, I mean, kid's awful in the field, but he's not going to get any better sitting on the bench, and he's been one of your better hitters at the plate this season, so he gets back-to-back starts. Didi Gregorius finds his way back in the lineup tonight after a night off. And then Matt Vierling in center field. Just when you think center field issues can't be worse, well, gotcha. They are. The numbers are worse than they were last year with Vierling and Muzziotti, I believe. So, listen, we've harped on the lineup changes. Jason, what do you make of that lineup tonight?
I mean, the lineup is a little better in my opinion, but once again, are you going to stick with it? Because tomorrow it's going to be something different, and that's what's frustrating. Like, I would have had Segura at the number 2 hitter, and I would have put Schwarber as the leadoff. Hoskins has no business being up there in the top. Like, that started with Gabe Kapler. Rhys Hoskins is a power hitter. He's a guy that should be protecting Bryce Harper and Castellanos. Why he's in the 2 hole is beyond me. It makes no sense. And it's, once again, it's Sleepy Joe asleep at the wheel. Because as far as I'm concerned, like, honest to God, like, I don't understand the mentality, like you said. And then, you know, the other day to have JT as a leadoff hitter, like, come on. I don't know, man. I'm
with you.
I think at this point, it's like, okay, whatever you do, then stick with it. If this is going to be the lineup, then let it go. Bryce Harper should be in the 3 hole. Castellanos should be your cleanup. And as I said, Hoskins, he needs to be down there as protection. That's what we thought we were having when we built the lineup. But now all of a sudden.
Listen, the only parts, I'm just taking 1 through 5, or I'll say 1 through 6 here, because however you want to mash up 7, 8, 9, and Boehm, Didi, and Vierling, I don't really care. I think Vierling obviously is a 9-hole hitter. Whatever you do, 7 and 8, I don't care. But I think the only 2 spots I agree with are Bryce and Nick. To me, the opening day lineup is my lineup.
Yep.
And you went away from it already. So now, like, guys, I can't see him going back to it. You think if he thought he was wrong 10 games in and he makes all these drastic changes, you think at some point it's going to be back to Schwarber, JT, Harper, Castellanos, Hoskins, Segura? I can't see him doing that, but that's the best lineup in my mind, and you already shied away from it.
I mean, he made a mistake doing that. You know, real quick on a side note, as a joke, we talk about Vierling and how bad he is. Shouldn't be on it, or Muzziotti, whatever, the Italian Venezuelan guy that's there. You know, we've talked about it before, and we all know Odubel is going to be back soon. But I think the Moniak hand-braking situation, I'm not saying Moniak would have led off, but if he would have came out hot in the 8 or 9 hole, maybe the Phillies would have dabbled if there was a struggle at the leadoff spot with him. But look at I don't know if you guys saw the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs starting lineup tonight. Batting 1 and 2 are 2 center fielders that you could use right now. One being Odubel. Do you guys know who lead off tonight for the Iron Pigs? You guys, if you think, you know, Odubel Herrera is bad, you know who else led off tonight for the Iron Pigs? Roman Quinn. I didn't even know they brought him back. They cut him from the 40-man roster. No one wanted him. We brought him back. And he's hitting like 325 early in the season for the Iron Pigs. So
I'm good. Odubel, once Odubel's back, I guarantee that's something he trots out there immediately.
Absolutely. If he trots Didi out there regularly, he's gonna trot Odubel out there regularly too.
I hate to sound like the oddball, but I don't think Odubel could be any worse than Matt Vierling's been. Like,
no, 100. See, I agree with you, Jason. Listen, he's going to be better at the plate than Matt Vierling is. He's obviously not great in the field. Vierling's whatever in the field. He's going to be better. He's just.
I don't like the guy, but yeah.
But from a baseball perspective, you know, that's where we're at. One guy, he's too young and he nearly doesn't get the starts enough. That I would try out as a leadoff hitter would have to be Bryson Stott. When you kind of just mix in speed, contact, can get on base, has a good eye. That's a guy, I don't know, like out of everybody, I would think Stott could be a more traditional leadoff hitter than JT.
Untraditional, but if you're going to say that, I mean, he has a great eye. He gets on base. He's either hitting the ball or walking as Alec Bohm. I mean,
exactly.
He's not a traditional leadoff hitter, but at least he's getting on base.
You want to know what's coming soon, too, which I cannot stand. You thought Bryce in the 2 hole was bad? guarantee he trots Price out as the leadoff guy soon if things don't turn around. But let's take a look at tonight's pitching matchup as we have the battle of the Kyles. Kyle Gibson on the bump for the Phillies. He's 1-1 on the year in 11 2/3 innings pitched, 3.09 ERA, 0.86 WHIP, 16 Ks to 3 walks. Very good. First start went 7 strong, struck out 10, and then getting his money in Colorado, Kyle Freeland on the mound tonight. Listen, guys, if we're looking analytically or number wise, tonight's a night that the Phillies should turn the bats around. He's 0-2 on the year in 9 innings pitched, 10 ERA, 2 WHIP, 7 Ks, 4 walks, a bad ratio there. I guess let's start with the Phillies with Kyle Gibson here, and then we'll get into Freeland and how the lineup can take advantage. Jason, what do you expect out of Kyle Gibson tonight? Because he's a guy that I think you're getting one or the other. I said this in the preview show this year. There's no in between with him. You're getting this 6 to 7 strong, or you're getting what you got in his second performance, which was 3 innings and he's pulled. What Kyle Gibson did we get tonight?
I think you'll get a little bit in between of that. So you'll probably get, I'm going to say 6 innings. You're not going to have 10 Ks. You might get 7 Ks, and he'll give up 2 or 3 runs. I think Kyle Gibson is very inconsistent. But I think, Phil likes to say he's had more seasons of over 5 ERAs than under 4, which is true. But I do think that if you look at Kyle Gibson the last 2 or 3 years, he has gotten better as far as his pitching sequence and his ability to throw strikes. Because I think his problem is when he starts to get wild, where he's not locating his fastball. That's when he has problems. And that's the same thing with Aaron Nola. It's actually a common theme with the Phillies' whole pitching staff, to be honest, up and down. Including Zach Wheeler, which, by the way, I'm not really worried about Zach Wheeler. 1 start. You got to remember the guy hasn't played, in a year, and he didn't play in spring training hardly. All he did was go to like those, side sessions, and he didn't have any kind of spring. So I'm not worried about, Zach Wheeler, but Aaron Nola, on the other hand, is what he is. And like I said, Kyle Gibson, I think he is what he is. He's not great, but he's not terrible. So, unfortunately, that's what we have on this team as far as our starting pitching. So, we need our bats to wake up, or else we're not going to win a lot of games.
Well, 100%, because it doesn't matter what Aaron Nola you get, what Kyle Gibson you get, what Zach Wheeler you get. You're not going to win any games when you average 2 runs a game over the last 5. Phil, talk to me about your boy, dude. What Gibby should we expect tonight?
I mean, you're Jason Netta. I mean, I've been talking about it since before the season started, during the long lockout, stretch there. Kyle Gibson's a number 5 starter, man. Again, more seasons over 5 than under 3, and he is basically not much better than the guy that announced his retirement last night, Jake Arrieta. He literally, and I'm not saying anything bad about Kyle Gibson, but if you want to make a playoff run, which this team does, he has to be your worst pitcher. Mm-hmm. Right now on paper, he's probably their 2nd or 3rd best pitcher, and he has to be your 5th best pitcher. So if the bats don't wake up tonight, we're going to lose this game. If he gives up 3, 4, 5 runs, that's average. That's part of the course with him. So, it doesn't matter what Kyle Gibson does on a given night. He's more of a Joe Blanton inning eaters kind of guy. He's going to get you 6 innings every single night, 7 innings sometimes, but he's going to give up 4 runs every single night on average. So that means the Phillies better be able to break out and get 6 or 7 runs, because I do not expect Kyle Gibson to put out a performance like he did in his first start more than 1 or 2 more times the rest of the season, because that's not who he is. It's just not. He wasn't even good last year when he came over from the Phillies.
No. Again, he was good for like 2. He was great for like 2 games and
months last year, and that was it. So
yeah. I agree. I think he's, again, Mr. Inconsistent, which is a word that describes far too many players and people in this organization right now. But I don't know. I think Kyle is going to be somewhere in that 6 innings pitched, 3 to 4 runs given up, like you both said. The only thing with him, he does have the potential to surprise at times. Now, I don't know if I love that idea in Colorado, in that ballpark, because balls can fly out of there. So we'll see what happens tonight. But yeah, I guess my prediction is Kyle Gibson around 6 innings, 3 or 4 runs given up. And you're right, we are not going to win if the lineup continues to struggle the way it has. That's for sure. So let's get into that lineup and our standout stars / keys to the game. My key to the game with this lineup going against Kyle Freeland, who has a 10 ERA in 2 starts this year, is very simple. You cannot start slow. It's something we said heading into Miami. First inning in the first game of 4 against Miami, they put a run on the board and then nothing. You cannot continue to start slow, because not only are the bats not waking up early, the starting pitchers are starting to get rocked around the 3rd or 4th inning. So being down 3-0, 2-0, 5-1 in every game is not a recipe for success. Go out there, give yourself some confidence as a lineup, give your starter some confidence on the bump, and put together a solid performance, or else you're staring down the barrel of a potential sweep against the freaking Rockies. They stink, guys. The Marlins are supposed to stink. We know they give us issues, whatever. The Colorado Rockies stink. And
they've won 7 of their first 10 games.
I get it. They stink. So that's it for me. It's pretty simple. It's get out of the gates early. Phil,
I'm just going to give you something here. So, 3 people. I'm not hosting. I get a chance to research as I'm going on here. I'm just sitting here. Career numbers for tonight's starting lineup against Kyle Freeland. Isn't that where Black Lightning's from? Freeland? No,
I don't know.
No comic book heroes right here.
Oh.
No fans. Yeah, Black Lightning's from Freeland. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys in this lineup tonight have never recorded a hit against Kyle Freeland. Let's go through this. Gene Segura is in the leadoff spot because he's the most success. He's 4 for 9 against Kyle Freeland. He's a lefty Freeland. Reese Hoskins, 0 for 3 from him. Bryce Harper, 3 of 14. Castellanos is 1 of 2. And the rest of the lineup, 0 for 4, 0 for 1, 0 for 2, 0 for... No one else after Nick Castellanos has a hit against this guy with a 10 ERA. So the keys to the game, the guy that's got to break out, I don't know which one it is. Odds are it's not Bryce Harper, lefty on lefty. He's already got bad success against them, struck out a bunch of times. Someone like Reese Hoskins or JT Realmuto is going to have a huge game and knock in a bomb or 2. But the key isn't even one specific player. It's the approach at the plate.
Mm-hmm.
Taking pitches. I do not want to see any inning with a single-digit pitch count for Freeland. Otherwise, you let him. He's still a major league pitcher. You start swinging at first pitches, popping balls up, fouling out, whatever. So there is no specific player. It's the approach at the plate that is the key to the game to get over the hump with this guy and break this losing streak right now.
All right, so we have approach and quick start. Jason, what's your key to victory?
It's funny because Phil stole my key.
Look at this.
But I'm gonna double down on it.
You've been basically stealing all my ideas from the morning show and bringing them tonight. So,
okay, well, I'm gonna double down on that key to the game, and I'm gonna do that by using an example. So, the 1993 Phillies. One of the reasons why that team was so successful wasn't necessarily that they had a bunch of standout stars on offense, but what they did have was a bunch of guys that collectively as a team knew how to work a pitcher. They knew how to take pitches. They knew how to go up there and get to a 3-2 count in every plate appearance. That is why this team is so deficient, and more so deficient as far as putting up any kind of runs on the board, because they're swinging at every pitch. They're trying to hit a home run on every pitch. And that is what I was a little bit concerned of when I saw this lineup built, because we have a bunch of guys that are streaky, and those kind of guys, a lot of times they get aggressive. And unfortunately, when you get aggressive, you can go into these prolonged slumps. So my key is for somebody in that organization, whether it's Sleepy Joe or the hitting coach, somebody to get into these guys' heads and say, yo, guys, start taking some pitches. Because if you go up there swinging pitch one at every, you're not going to have success at the plate, especially when you're not doing well and you're slumping. So I doubled down on the approach. And my player actually to watch, I'm going to go with the left-handed bat because I think it's going to happen after the starters get out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
My player actually to watch and is going to break out tonight finally is Kyle Schwarber. I feel it. I know everyone's been saying it, and it's easy. It's an easy set, easy pick because he's been struggling, and sooner or later he's going to turn a corner. But I just have a weird feeling that tonight, I think getting moved out of the one hole, I think it probably pissed him off. And I think he's ready to, do some damage.
Yeah.
So I could see that happening tonight.
Listen, I'll take it a step further. You mentioned, Girardi's got to get the troops going. Maybe Kevin Long, somebody's got to get in their ear. And that's true. Obviously, that falls on the manager as well. But screw that. How about one of the leaders in your ball club? How about the MVP of the league? Get things going, not just by example, but by rallying the troops. How about take what Nick Castellanos said? There's T-shirts and koozies with it on there. I don't have a college degree. I hit baseballs. Well, let's start hitting baseballs, fellas. Okay, you're in Colorado against a dude with a 10 ERA. You're slumping. You're 4-7 to start the season. Let's turn things around tonight. Get the first win out of the way. Move on to tomorrow. Maybe you can win the series, and then you come back home for a couple series, and then gather yourselves. My thing is, Jeremy was on the Faithful Fanatics with me, and he brought this up. We all know they're striking out a ton, and we see it, but I didn't know the numbers. Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, Kyle Schwarber, and Rhys Hoskins have more strikeouts than hits this season. They're not making contact, guys. More strikeouts than hits, not outs than hits, strikeouts. That's horrific. So that's got to stop. That's demoralizing to an offense as well, especially when you K with runners in scoring position. They had a ton of trouble early on in the Miami series and the Mets series, getting runners in scoring position. Obviously, I remember against the Scherzer start, they had bases loaded with one out. Strikeout, pop up, inning over. You could have got the max in the first inning. They don't. So that's it. So approach, rally the troops, and get out to a hot start quick for the Phillies tonight. Predictions before we wrap up. Jason, I'll start with you.
I think the Phillies get off the schneid tonight. And I'm going to say 5-2.
5-2. Phil, what do you got?
Well, the over-under is 12.5 runs for the game. Phillies are favorites still. I don't know how. 1.5 run favorite. They're minus 135 money line. If the over hits, if there's more than 12 cumulative runs in tonight's game, the Phillies win. I'll say they win 8-6. Sure, I'll be positive. But if it's a low-scoring game, I have this much confidence that they can pull it out in a low-scoring game. So if it's an over, I'm going to say 8-5. But if it's a low-scoring game, like Jason says, they don't win.
I'm with you both. I'm going to say somewhere in the middle. I'm going to go Phillies put up 7. I'll say they win 7-4 tonight. They have to start producing. And to wrap up the show, I'll say this. Even if they do what we're asking them to do tonight, even if they put up 6, 7, 8 runs in a win tonight, guys, you got to start taking that momentum and that production and piling it on and doing something with it. You put up 10 runs in Game 3 against the Marlins, and then you came out and got your ass whooped the following night. And then again the following night. My question is when, I know it's early, but when is enough enough? When is one ass whooping after another finally start to piss you off if you're Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos and all these great hitters that can put up MVP type numbers? When do you say, you know what? It's on us right now. Let's stop. Let's have a better approach. Let's put at-bats together, and let's go get a win. So even if you do that tonight, you have to keep it going. They play a day game tomorrow, and we'll see. But we're all trying to be optimistic that the Phillies win. I'm not sure any of us believe it right now. I gotta see it to believe it first. But hey, That's where we're at. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up this Phillies Rockies pregame show. You can check us out on Twitter at DSM_media. The link tree is in our bio to take you to every social media platform we are available on. I don't think there will be a pregame show tomorrow. I'll be at work. Parcero, I believe, will be at work, and I don't know who else is available. Maybe Cole and Cotta can take this one over during the day, being the college kids that they are. But we'll get back on track on Thursday. But go Phillies, and everybody have a nice night.
Peace.